We've got some late-breaking information on your local news in HD. Police have released the name and a photograph of the man they're looking for in connection with the murder of a Welton woman.
President Obama challenges Congress on immigration reform a couple of weeks before a couple of reform plans are expected to be publicly outlined. I'm Craig Boswell in Washington. I'll explain.
Plus, veterans say they are not getting their benefits because of government backlog. Those stories plus a look ahead at your workweek weather. Your local news on Fox 9 starts now.
From Yuma and San Luis to El Centro and the Imperial Valley, this is KECY Fox 9 News.
Being a gay man in America, the decision on this one could be the most impactful decision on my life personally that the Supreme Court ever makes in my lifetime.
The Supreme Court is set to revisit the constitutionality of California Proposition 8, the ban on gay marriage. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. This is your local news on Fox 9. I'm Anna Chalk. That story is right around the corner, but first, some late-breaking news tonight. Police are now looking for a suspect in the murder of a Welton woman found in a local orange grove. Your local news reporter Mauricio Myrna has been following this story. Mauricio, what can you tell us about the latest on this case?
Anna, good evening. Tonight, we've learned police are looking for Jose Jimenez. They're calling him a suspect in the murder of 29-year-old Crystal Figueroa. Her body was found Friday. Now, Yuma police tell us they want to question Jimenez about Crystal's death. His picture might look familiar. He was the news last month after getting into a fight, then running from sheriff deputies near the Camelot Apartments in Yuma. Police say he is considered armed and dangerous. As for the victim, Crystal Figueroa, she's from Welton. And on Friday, police got a call to the area near County 17th and Avenue 2E in Yuma, where someone found her body in the orange groves. Now, we put in a call to the Yuma County Medical Examiner's office. They say they're going to do an autopsy on Figueroa's body tomorrow. I had the chance to talk to a friend of Crystal's off camera. He told me it's so sad to hear someone could have done this to her. Now, she was such a sweet person, according to him. Now, as you can imagine, her friends and family trying to find answers about who could have done this. Of course, if you know anything about the case or if you've seen Jimenez, call Yuma Police right away. Anna, back to you.
Tragic story. Thank you so much, Mauricio. A Border Patrol agent dies in a car accident southeast of El Centro. Agent Francisco Puga was dead on the scene Friday night when authorities arrived. The accident occurred at the intersection of Bowker and McCabe. Puga was 26 years old and had been with the Border Patrol for more than 6 years. You might recall that specific intersection has been considered for a four-way stop, but there's no new details on that being implemented. A man accused of attacking another man with a large stick over the weekend faced a judge this afternoon. Yuma police say this man you're looking at here, Paul John Tolario II, attacked a man near 6th Street and Orange Avenue Sunday afternoon. When police arrived on scene, officers found a man with a head wound. He was bleeding a lot. Witnesses told police Tolario hit the victim, then ran away. In court this afternoon, Judge Gregory Stewart presented Tolario with the charges he's facing. They include aggravated assault and disorderly conduct by fighting. His bond is set at $50,000. He's already on probation from court cases in Tucson and Yuma. He will be back in court on Wednesday. We're going to jump outside now for a quick look outside. This is a live picture coming from our Fox 9 tower cam. Gorgeous night outside. Now that camera is located right outside our studios here on 4th Avenue in Yuma. The current temperature is just above 80 degrees and not a bit of wind, as you can see from how calm that camera is. Gorgeous pictures outside tonight. For more on the weather, we're going to go to Carlene Chavis with a quick check of your local forecast. Carlene?
Hope you had a great weekend. And a quick recap, we hit a high of 84 degrees for your Sunday. Now that's slightly above the norm, but temperatures are climbing as we go into the next couple of days. And by Wednesday, we will have more clouds on the scene over the desert and also some breezy winds, but then we'll actually warm up from there, and then Easter will hit a little bit of a cool down as we go from the weekend 90s all the way into the low 80s by Monday. More details are coming up.
Hey, thanks, Carlene. President Obama calls on Congress to act quickly on immigration reform. The president challenged lawmakers during a White House citizenship ceremony. Fox's Craig Boswell has the story now from Washington.
President Obama wants Congress to get moving on overhauling the nation's immigration laws.
I expect a bill to be put forward. I expect the debate to begin next month. I want to sign that bill into law as soon as possible.
The president's comments came during a White House naturalization ceremony.
I hereby declare on oath
28 immigrants recited the oath. 13 were members of the U.S. military. President Obama's immigration proposal allows a pathway to citizenship for illegals in about 8 years and requires business owners to check the immigration status of new hires within 4 years. Many lawmakers are at odds with the president over border security.
And the main part of my plan is trust but verify that says we have to have border security. Conservatives have always wanted border security before we had immigration reform.
Meanwhile, a bipartisan group of 8 senators is working on a framework for an immigration overhaul. Of the unresolved issues, a guest worker program, how to handle the future flow of low-skilled workers who come to the U.S., the number of years required in a pathway to citizenship, and how to measure border security.
All of the immigration reform proposals depend on border security and some way to verify that the border is secure. All of the Republicans who are behind immigration reform insist that you have to have proof of border security.
The Senate plan, as well as a plan being put together by a group in the House, could be unveiled the week of April 8th when Congress comes back from recess. In Washington, Craig Boswell, Fox News.
Veterans say they're fighting their government more than they fought on the front lines. Coming up on Your Local News in HD, a newly discovered backlog at a federal agency has vets waiting for months for benefits.
2 different cases, one very important issue. The Supreme Court considers same-sex marriage this week. I'm Shannon Bream in Washington with that story coming up. To assist service member.
It's from CNN. I printed you a new video list. Stand by. You do? Sweet. And thanks for coming back with us. A recent report from the Department of Veteran Affairs reveals startling news. There's actually a major backlog of unprocessed requests for benefits and pensions for veterans. The report released earlier this month found the VA has hundreds of thousands of benefits claims classified as pending, and most of those have been pending for more than 4 months. The Secretary for the agency says he's working to fix this issue.
No veteran should have to wait for claims. If there's anybody impatient here, I am that individual, and we're pushing hard.
The Secretary also says the winding down of wars in Iraq and Afghanistan has contributed to the pile of unprocessed requests for benefits. And speaking of, the U.S. military handed over control of its latest detention facility in Afghanistan to the Afghan government today. That's a year after the two sides initially agreed on the transfer. The handover of Parwan Detention Facility ends a bitter chapter in American relations with Afghanistan's President Hamid Karzai, who demanded control of the prison as a matter of national sovereignty. The handover took place just a few hours before Secretary of State John Kerry flew into Afghanistan on an unannounced visit to see Karzai amid concerns that the Afghan president may be jeopardizing progress in the war against extremism with anti-American rhetoric. In two different cases this week, the Supreme Court will consider the powerful question of what it means to be married. Justices have set aside 2 days to hear arguments on California's Proposition 8 and then the Defense of Marriage Act. Fox's Shannon Bream has the story now from Washington.
Braving a spring snowstorm for the chance to witness legal history. Dozens of people camping out outside the nation's highest court for a shot at a spot inside.
Being a gay man in America, the decision on this one could be the most impactful decision on my life personally that the Supreme Court ever makes in my lifetime.
On Tuesday, the justices will debate the constitutionality of a voter-passed referendum known as Proposition 8, which amended California's constitution to recognize only marriage between one man and one woman. For the first same-sex couple to legally marry in California, the wait has been a long one.
It's not a partisan issue.
I'm going to cry like a baby walking into that court. I am, because it's just...
Is it the emotions of going that far?
Yes, it is. It is. We've been at this a while.
Then, on Wednesday, the justices will consider the Defense of Marriage Act, passed by Congress and signed into law by then-President Bill Clinton, who has since disavowed it. The law limits federal benefits like end-of-life care, Social Security benefits, and joint income tax filings to marriages between a man and a woman. Last year, the Obama administration decided it would no longer defend the law in court.
This certainly is an issue that the president has followed carefully. There have been briefs that have been filed in the case from the Department of Justice representing the Obama administration's legal position on these issues.
Defenders of the law and traditional marriage say there's no valid reason for the court to overturn the will of California voters.
Respect the right of voters to decide their future, to decide something as simple as that it takes a man and woman to make a marriage.
No cameras are allowed in the courtroom, but the court has agreed to release audio of the arguments the same day each case is heard. Decisions in both cases are due by the end of June. In Washington, Shannon Bream, Fox News.
And Democratic Senator Claire McCaskill of Missouri announced her support for same-sex marriage today. McCaskill joins high-profile names on both sides of the aisle who have endorsed the right for gay couples to legally wed. And it's days like this that make you want to take your pooch outside. Coming up on your local news, I'll tell you about a survey you can take to help decide whether or not the city of Imperial will get a new dog park, plus another look at your local forecast. Plus, the influx of people buying guns has done great things for the economy. This is your local news on Fox 9. Stay with us. Go backdoor right to weather. Japanese is dead. Thanks.
You're watching KECY Fox 9 News with Anna Trump and Colleen Chavis with weather.
Good evening. Well, as we go into tonight, we'll have increasing cloud cover from a series of lows moving in. Into tomorrow, high pressure still the dominant force over the west will bring in the heat. So we do have a series of lows. Area of low pressure in the cold fronts will continue to push through as we go into the next couple days. So mostly sunny for tomorrow, partly sunny by Wednesday. Now that cooler air will actually move in and also change up your wind forecast as well. So once again, picking up fairly breezy when you get that high pressure system and low pressure system close together. That's when things start to change up. So, for overnight hours, we'll have the increasing cloud cover, and also 58 degrees will be the overnight low with light winds in Yuma. Now, by daytime hours, that's when winds will start to pick up 5 to 15 miles per hour throughout most of the Desert Valley. So, we have the pocket of warm air that's going to stick around, as well as plenty of sunshine, cooler air filtering in. Now, the thing is, we'll continue to have that for the next couple days, so temperature is actually not really cooling down because of that high pressure system, really pretty much stabilizing over the next couple of days. Now, we will have that increasing cloud cover as we go into Wednesday. Most of that rain you can see is actually just to the north. So Northern California, that will filter in. And then for us, we'll only see a few stray clouds, not too much with this. As we go into tomorrow, mostly sunny skies and also a daytime high in Yuma of 89 degrees. So we're still above the norm, even though that cooler air is filtering in. Also, winds will be moving out of the south 5 to 15 miles per hour. Taking a look at what you can expect throughout most of the Desert Valley for tomorrow. 89, calm and high, and mostly sunny with winds shifting about 5 to 15 miles per hour. Gusts will be in the 20s in Welton as well as El Centro. Taking a look at your hour-by-hour forecast for El Centro, 68 at 9 a.m. By noon, 81, 3 p.m., 89 with those breezy winds. Going into the next couple of days in Yuma, plenty of sunshine, also some clouds, and then well above normal with our daytime highs. By the weekend, we'll hit the 90s, also on your Easter Sunday, and then 83 degrees by Monday. Back to you, Anna.
Thanks, Carlene. Every dog could have his day at the park, that is. One city in the Imperial Valley is looking for public input about the feasibility of a dog park. Your local news anchor, Patrick Hayes, has been chasing this story, and he's here now with the details. Patrick?
Hey, Anna. Dog lovers in the Imperial Valley are calling for a park, specifically for their four-legged friends, and support for one is on the rise. But the city of Imperial wants to know, what do you think before it moves forward with the project? Here's how you can let your voice be heard. The city of Imperial welcomes you to take their survey. It can be found by going to their website at cityofimperial.org. Now, I took the survey, and I have to say it was rather short. Questions included, how many dogs do you have, and how often would you go to the park? The survey is anonymous, but it only takes a minute to do. And as an advocate for dogs, I have to say I really like the idea and would love one in the Imperial Valley. Keep it with your local news for all the updates on this matter. Anna, back to you.
Looking forward to the outcome of that. Thanks, Patrick. As you know, he's one of the richest men in the entire world. Now, Bill Gates is taking applications for the world's most innovative condom creator. You heard it right. I'll explain on the other side of this break. Stay with us.
Grant is the first high school in Portland and one of the first in the nation to have unisex bathrooms for transgender students.
I don't think that most people realize that using a bathroom, going into a bathroom that says girls or boys, is very identifying of who you are.
As first reported in the student publication Grant Magazine, the high school
And welcome back. A new pro-gun control advertising blitz is about to begin just as Congress is poised to vote on new gun control measures. Fox's Doug Luzader has the story now from Washington.
This is an issue that's going to brew for the next couple of weeks before Congress makes its move, and advocates on both sides are ramping up their campaigns.
Let me repeat.
From the president to the head of the National Rifle Association to the mayor of New York, the voices for and against new gun control laws are about to get very loud.
Background checks have nothing to do with taking guns away from anyone.
This new ad campaign portraying a gun owner in favor of stricter gun control laws is being paid for by New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg, spending $12 million of his own money, targeting states where members of Congress will feel the most heat.
If 90% of the public want something and their representatives vote against that, common sense says they are going to have a price to pay for that.
He says it's a counterweight to the National Rifle Association, which has so far successfully blocked a ban on military-style guns, so-called assault weapons. The head of the NRA argues that expanded background checks will only hurt law-abiding citizens.
You just heard Mayor Bloomberg, but he's going to find out this is a country of the people, by the people, and for the people, and he can't spend enough of his $27 billion to try to impose his will on the American public.
After an initial surge of interest in the wake of the Sandy Hook school attack in Connecticut, expanded gun control measures may be losing some momentum in Congress. In the weeks ahead, though, President Obama is expected to expand his role in trying to build public support for a tough new law. Now, both sides see the next couple of weeks as being critical here. Congress is on Easter recess, and members of Congress will be back in their home states getting an earful from constituents both for and against new gun control measures. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
And some residents in Newtown, Connecticut are up in arms over robocalls from the NRA. The calls ask people to vote against proposed gun control legislation. Now, this Newtown resident who did not want to reveal his identity says he's angry over the insensitivity of these calls.
Have this pushed on us without even asking permission or any kind of discussion it's inexcusable.
And as you recall, a gunman opened fire inside the local elementary school in that city in December, killing 26 people. 20 of them were children. Turns out guns and ammo are flying off store shelves these days, and that means weapons makers are hiring. Some manufacturers are scrambling to find enough workers. One expert says the industry employs about 240,000 people nationwide, and an analysis notes many of the new jobs are temporary contract jobs since companies don't know how long the surge in demand will last. A courageous young man and his dad accomplished an amazing feat. Coming up on your local news in HD, what motivated a special needs kid to climb Mount Everest? This is your local news on Fox 9. Stay with us. How long does the Arius thing run? I think it's actually a minute when it comes out. Vanessa took all the pens. Thanks. It was 23:49. Thanks. Thank you. Thanks for coming back with us. Prosecutors continue their cross-examination of a defense psychology expert in the Jodi Arias murder trial. Dr. Richard Samuels diagnosed Jodi Arias with post-traumatic stress disorder and amnesia. Samuels is back on the stand today for the 6th day. He says one of her symptoms of PTSD is difficulty concentrating, but prosecutors contest his assessment, saying she testified that she read the Book of Mormon and her journals cover to cover.
In terms of the fog, did the fog restrict her ability to recall important aspects of the trauma?
In the beginning and the end, yes.
So it did affect her ability to recall important aspects of the trauma, right?
Yes, but the amnesia was responsible for her lack of memory about the bulk of the period of time during which the trauma was occurring.
And as you recall, Arias is charged in the 2008 murder of her ex-lover, Travis Alexander. She faces the death sentence if she's found guilty. And it's one of the first in the nation. A high school in Portland, Oregon now has bathrooms to help transgender students and staff feel safer and more comfortable. It's an issue that many of us take for granted, but for some students, it's made a huge difference. Kyle Iboshi explains.
Grant is the first high school in Portland and one of the first in the nation to have unisex bathrooms for transgender students.
I don't think that most people realize that using a bathroom, going into a bathroom that says girls or boys, is very identifying of who you are.
As first reported in the student publication Grant Magazine, the high school renovated 4 restrooms for students and 2 for staff. They're all single stalls available for everyone to use, no matter gender or sexual orientation.
It's kind of a Band-Aid for right now, but it is definitely a really great thing.
Scott Morrison is one of at least 10 students at Grant who openly identify themselves as transgender. Going into a men's or women's restroom became so uncomfortable, he stopped drinking anything during the school day.
I've definitely gotten some, just really weird looks in the women's restroom. It's not comfortable, and in the men's restroom as well, although I just don't feel safe in the men's restroom.
Grant staff says the move is intended to create a safer environment.
We were able to just change out some of the locks, make some minor changes that weren't too, didn't cost too much, and we're able to make the change pretty quickly.
Transgender students say this is a step toward equality and understanding.
That was Kyle Iboshi reporting. Check this out. A courageous young man is celebrating after becoming the first person with Down syndrome to climb the base camp of Mount Everest. 15-year-old Eli Raymer and his father Justin made the climb to raise money and awareness for disabled children. And they shared this video of their adventure. The father says when everyone else was dragging, his son is actually who led the way to base camp. The milestone came just before World Down Syndrome Day, which was Thursday of last week. The father and son are now back in their home state of Oregon. They arrived from Nepal Friday night to find a crowd of supporters waiting for them at the Los Angeles International Airport. Great story and congratulations. And philanthropist and Microsoft founder Bill Gates is offering a cash reward of $100,000 to anyone who can come up with the next generation condom. That's according to Grand Challenges in Global Health. The initiative comes from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and it's aimed at improving the lives of the world's poorest people. And a new innovative condom could do just that. The condom must be effective at lowering the chance of transmitting STDs and offer incentive for both men and women to use it. If chosen, the foundation would continue to fund the condom up to $1 million. And just a quick reminder to head over to Lutz Casino tomorrow for a benefit takeover. 15% between 4 and 8 will go to Gila Ridge Hawks Track and Field Booster Club. Have a good night.